The highlight of the week of the Cheltenham Festival itself is the Gold Cup, and a dual winner of the Gold Cup and a winner of the Gold Cup. Have you ever backed the winner of the Gold Cup?
I have. Never ridden one, but I've backed a winner.
You've even got one living at home with you, haven't you?
Yeah, looks like trouble. He's I think 28 now, so yeah, 20 years ago that is that he won it. So yeah, makes me sound old.
You are. Right, we all are. None of us are what we were. None of us are getting any younger. Right, straight into the Gold Cup. BOUM PHOTO 7-2 market leader. Joint now with Santini, who continues to shorten. Delta Work 5. CLAN DES OBEAUX and Lost in Translation is 7-1. KEMBOY is 7. Presenting Percy with Davies 8-1. And then we're into the 20-1s and bar them. Davey, I'll come to you first. Let's talk about the Irish horses and Presenting Percy. How is he?
Yeah, he's had the 3 runs this year. He's ran well every time, just kind of not finishing out his races. So looks like he's in Leopardstown. He looked like he was going to get there, and Delta Work outstayed him. And then the last day he travelled really well, landed there at the back of the second last. And I thought he'd get to the line a bit better. So we're just hopefully that Cheltenham will bring improvement. He'll need to improve, he needs to step up, but he's a very good horse, and he didn't get the greatest run last year. He had no run over fences last year, so we're going to forgive him that for sure. Sorry.
That's right.
So right, we'll let you off. We're going to carry on rolling. We're not live TV here. We all make mistakes. I'd rather you make one now than in about 2 weeks' time at this time. Okay, so we'll let you off that. So yeah, he came 8th last year, but he didn't have any preparation at all, really. And this year, he's not won, but he's improving every time. And
yeah, he definitely is improving. He definitely got better. But the unfortunate thing is the horses around him have got better also. So, but it's a hell of a Gold Cup. Like, it really is. There's horses, there's strength and depth to it, the whole way down to Monolith, who's 25-1, but he's still capable of being very competitive. He was second to Delta Work in Leopardstown, and you know, it's rock solid. It's a fantastic race. So. Lost in Translation all year long, he was just visually so impressive, and you know, BOUM PHOTO again. History is not on his side, but he's the same prep as he had last year, and he showed last year how good he is. So
your best mate was the last horse to come back to back.
Yeah.
Takes him doing.
Yeah. He'll need to be very good, and it's quite a strong race.
He's had a very best mate like preparation though.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it'll be very interesting. There's a couple like Lost in Translation. When Betfair Chase will take on the Queen Mother, we just don't know whether the 3 mile form or the 2.5 mile form of last year is better. So we know then, like, if Betfair Chase goes and wins the Queen Mother Champion Chase, we know that Lost in Translation is the real thing, you know. And then with Santini and Delta Work, they went down the 3 mile route last year, and they'll clash again. So, and look, Percy won it the year before, won the RSA the year before. So we know he acts and stays on the track. It's just to get him there now in tip-top shape.
So of the lot at the top of the market, who would you fear the most?
You'd have to fear them all, really. I'd be, yeah.
That's a good knock away. Yeah. That was, I like that.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if any one of them, you know, you'd have to be keeping an eye on them all, really. Yeah.
I saw you smirk when we mentioned Monolith. We'll come back to that. We've argued about that enough over the years. Dickie, unfortunately no native river, but we move on. Of the English, who takes your eye the most?
You know, Santini obviously won the Cheltenham Chase the other day, and I think the one thing he does do is stay. I just wonder, he can be a bit lazy, and I just wonder whether he really gets stuck in at the end of it. Now that's, you know, he's still got to prove that perhaps he's up to winning a race like this for me. You know, I think, you know, he's a very decent horse, but you know, again, if he's come out of his race at Cheltenham well, and he's, you know, that brings him on, you know, he definitely comes here with a big chance. But like Lost in Translation, the trip would worry, that would be my worry for him. Like I said, he was very good over 2.5 last year. Definitely's dropped back to 2 miles. I just wonder, like, I'm sure he will get this trip at some point, but he's still quite a young horse. I rode him last year over 2.5. He doesn't lack speed. I just wonder if it's going to be a really testing Gold Cup this year on soft ground. 3 mile 2, we've seen lots of times, lots of horses travel to 3 out or to 2 out. that last little bit, whether he's going to be quite, stay at the ship this year, that would worry me. I think you could say the same about CLAN DES OBEAUX. He's got to prove that he really, he was very, very impressive in the King George, but he's still got to prove that he can do it over that little bit further. I think there's questions about a few of them. I think the favourite should be favourite. He was impressive last year, I thought. I thought about the outsiders. Bristol de May, he could be the one at 28 to 1. I think he's definitely not out of it. And
you made a mistake at the wrong time. You made a mistake at a really bad time.
If you got Santini at 7 to 2 and he's at 28 to 1, there shouldn't be that much between the two of them. And as an each way bet,
what kind of line that is?
He's probably the sort of a value bet to run well.
Thomas.
I'm a CLAN DES OBEAUX fan. I know he didn't get the hill last year. Nichols had said, he's a lot stronger this year.
It looks a lot stronger now, to be
fair.
fair.
He's had a steady prep.
He's the first person I've seen that seems to put him up anywhere for anything, and I think
that's not a good sign.
But the thing is,
really
for horses won 2 King Georges, he came 5th last year. I think he got beat like 9.5 lengths. He's not got to improve a whole lot, and he looked at better horse this year.
Maybe for a real good tilt at the Gold Cup this year. He went out to Ireland in the autumn, and then he's gone to the King George. He's kept him fresh. The ground is going to be a big concern, because it is going to really, if he's ever going to get up the hill, it's be easier on better ground. But
what was the Nichols horse a few years back, the Gerard Sullivan one that used to
Silviniaco
Conti? The comparisons are there with Silviniaco Conti. That they didn't really get that public following that you think some of these horses do. And I think CLAN DES OBEAUX
could have possibly gone not under the radar, but people haven't been talking about him. Santini, I know he's 2 from 2 this year, but visually wasn't that impressive, was he, the last day? He does. He's a dour stayer. But for me, I would take a chance at CLAN DES OBEAUX.
It's. I know Davey touched on about fearing all of them. When I go through any festival race, you like to try and put a line through horses you don't fancy. This race, you're left with 8 or 9 every time. It's very hard to rule out any of these, because there isn't much between them. There are a whole bunch of really good horses, of which you can make a case for most of them. So my view, you have to go down the price route. Stamina's massive. When you mentioned Silviniaco Conti, if you don't quite get home, you don't quite win. That's what tends to happen in a Gold Cup. You've got to stay. Which is, I'm going to kind of tie myself in knots here, but because I really, at the prices, I've got just a feeling that I think Monley will run really well, because I don't think he's far off them. He didn't go to the Dublin Racing Festival, so he comes here a bit fresher, and I think he could run really well.
If it's over 3 miles, 2.5.
I do know it's over 3 miles, 2.5, but again,
wanted to clear that up.
Again, again, he's bigger, stronger, maybe. Of the leading protagonists, Delta Work's done nothing wrong. He's had some hard races, but he's done nothing wrong. He's improving. Davey touched about horses improving around him and around Presenting Percy. Delta Work, if you watch last year's RSA, he gets rolling again quite late. He's coming back at them. And if the RSA was a couple of furlongs longer, Delta Work would be right back on top of those ones. So
Santini and Delta Work, you think of top of the game, and them to come back next year. What a race that was.
They're all right in the mix, but I would say of the leading ones, I think Delta Work would be the one. If I was to go left field, I go Monley just at the prices, because I don't think he's far behind them, but the stamina is an issue.
Well, you've had 2 picks there, so I'm going to let everyone have 2 picks for once. We've done 1 pick for all the other races. You're allowed 2, so you can get it wrong twice.
Yeah, the double.
So Bill, you're going to have Delta Work and Monley each way. Davey, you can have 2 start. You can ride 2. It'll be the first time you've ever ridden 2 in the same race.
No, it's going to be an Irish horse anyway for me, and then probably Delta Work and Percy.
Fine, cool. Dickie.
BOUM PHOTO, he's been training for the race. I think during that's been the whole plan all year. Since he won last year, I'm sure. And Bristol de May each way.
I'll go CLAN DES OBEAUX and Bristol de May each way.
I will have BOUM PHOTO, and I'll have Lost in Translation each way. I just think, if he hadn't have bombed out that last one, you just forgive one horse, one bad run. He was the most exciting horse going into training this year. I think. I thought come the day to be a lot shorter than 7, but I won't whistle on. That's the end. Now all we need is to actually find out how wrong we've been about 12 times over the last 2 hours. But we're all at Cheltenham. We're in the betting ring. Please come and see us. Get online, download that. There's plenty of special offers all during the festival, and with whatever you back, we all wish you the very best of luck.